everybody, it's Nancy Westfal from the Colorful Cookie Club, and Cookie-a-thon. I'm going to be teaching you something really fun today for this Sugar Art Show. Welcome to the Frosting Creators of San Antonio 2025 event. I'm with you today in a recording because I had to be out of town unexpectedly. But you're going to learn a lot of great things, especially if you have a cutting machine. And for those of you that don't, if you have a printer, I'm going to be teaching you how to create royal icing transfer templates. It's very easy to do. I'm using Silhouette Studio. There is a free version. There is also a paid version. I have the paid version, but here is the stencil that you're going to be making. It does coordinate with the cookie that Amy Hicks is going to be showing you how to make. Now, I created this. This will just be another option. She's showing a different decorating process with a banner across the top, according to the picture I saw that says Fiesta. But for those of you that want another option, you'll be able to put Fiesta right on top of the cookie with a stencil. And then for the transfer, I made a large one and I made a smaller one to share with you. So you'll be able to download these and print these off on your printer, and then you'll be able to download the stencil. It's an SVG file. You'll be able to open that in Cricut Design Space or Brother Scan and Cut or Silhouette Studio, any of those. Those will work. So the first thing I probably should show you, if you're new to designing stencils or using this software, is show you where to get it and what that looks like, because some people do get confused. And if you are curious to know about the Colorful Cookie Club, that's where I teach all about designing stencils, designing cookie cutters. We use tons of different software. There's a huge library of video tutorials, and if you purchase the swag bag, you have 1 month free in the Colorful Cookie Club. If you are a new member, you can join for 1 month just to kind of get a feel for it, see what it's like, see if it interests you, and you can have access to everything in the library and also access to the Facebook group. And it's a wonderful community of cookie decorators who, well, and I'm in there all the time. You really get personal access to me and I offer help. And it's just a great community to be a part of. But you get 1 month free if you purchase a swag bag. Let me go to the internet and show you this software for you to be able to download it. And I'm also going to show you, I'll start with showing you where you can download these freebies, and then we'll go into the Silhouette website where you can download that software for free. Okay, let me switch over here. I'm going to go to Chrome. And this is the page that Melinda is going to be linking to and that I'll link to. This is where you're going to find your downloads. If you purchase the swag bag, you can click right here to redeem your first month free in the Colorful Cookie Club. And right here is where you click to download these. Now, this is best done from a computer. You can do it on your phone if you know how to do that, but it's really best to download on a computer most of the time. If you click that button, this is going to pop up and you're going to be able to download this to your computer. I'm going to click cancel because I already have it. If you'll scroll on down, you can see more information about the club and how to activate your free month if you're a swag bag owner. Then if you don't have the swag bag, I did put a link here for you to join the club if you're interested. It is $19.99 a month and you can become a member today if you don't have the swag bag. All right, I'm going to go on down here. If you're not ready to join the club yet, you can click this link to learn more about it. Then I have another course for Procreate, Fast Track for Cookiers. And right now it's $50 off. I try to run that sale quite often, but this code is already applied. This is where I teach people how to use Procreate for the iPad to draw cookie designs and to use all the tools and features of Procreate app. Then down here, I want to encourage any of you who don't know about Cookie-a-thon. That is a Facebook group that's huge and growing all the time. This is where we host the Cookie-a-thon events twice a year, where we bring in cookie decorators from all over the world. And we also have all those tutorials in the library on the website. During this event, of course, it's free for each day of the event. But after that, people have the option to buy the pass and view forever. I say forever, as for the lifetime of Cookie-a-thon, to view the tutorials from these events. Oh, here you can find me too on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. So join me in those places if you'd like. Okay, so this is your download page. You're going to get a link to this. And then also, let's go over here, and I'm going to type in Silhouette America, and we'll just click on this. We're going to click on just this first link will be fine. And then you can click on software right here. If you scroll down, I haven't downloaded this for a long time and I haven't looked at it. I didn't even think about it. Download software right here. So click download. And what you're going to do, and this has gotten a little bit confusing. I have a Mac. You need to take a look here for which computer that you have. And you can download this free version for your computer. You always have to start with a free basic version on your computer, and then you can upgrade if you want to have more features. The other place that I recommend, and I can share this link with you too, I'll do that tomorrow, is Swing Design, and they usually have the best pricing. So actually, I think I'll send this to Melinda. She can share this in case I can't get my phone to share the link with you. This is the free version of Silhouette Studio Business, or Silhouette Studio Free Edition. And then they have upgrades available for you. If you look right here, it has more information for you to click and how to learn to install the software and the keys and all that. It sounds complicated, but it really isn't. You can see the business edition is right here. It is $79.99. And what I suggest for people, if they really want to be able to use the Silhouette Studio software to its full potential, just go straight from the free basic to this business edition and you'll be very happy. But if that sounds like gibberish to you, join the Colorful Cookie Club and I will show you how to use the software. It's really not as complicated as it sounds. It's really fun to learn this software, plus all the others that I teach, and I go live every other week in the club and do a tutorial to walk you through everything step by step, just like I'm going to be doing for you here today. Okay, whoops, wrong thing. I don't want that. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back to me here and Silhouette Studio. Well, I thought I was. Where's it at? There it is. Okay, so let's get started designing this stencil and these royal icing transfer templates. I'm going to close all these extra windows I have open. If you're opening Silhouette Studio and just starting from the beginning, your screen is going to look like this. This page setup pops up in the corner and you have a blank screen just like this. I've already been working in this other project here. You see these tabs across the top? These work just like tabs when you're on the internet. Basically, you can have different projects open. But if you were starting fresh, your screen would look just like this with this one page setup open. Now, if yours looks a little wonky and maybe you have, I don't know, this showing, that's just a preference over here on media size. Normally, I leave mine on auto 12 by 12 and because I'm usually working on 4 stencils and 4 stencils fit in here. But if you're working on a printable, like I'll show you in just a little bit, you might want to set that to 8.5 by 11 and we'll do that. Let me go back over to my project where I was working. What you're seeing right here, this LD Circus, sometimes when I work in a project, I will put the name of the font I used right up here in this gray area, or sometimes I'll put it down here in the bottom, because once you type this font in and you start making changes, you cannot edit this text anymore if you make too many changes and you can't see the font name. So I will sometimes type it in and put the font name right down here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. See this word Fiesta? When I double click on it and that green bounding box shows up around it, that means that this text is still editable. I can, type things in here and change it. But what happens is Once I get to working and I want to, arrange the letters to look like this or change the colors, once I break up these letters by either ungrouping or releasing the compound path, then I can't ever double click again like this. So my solution to that, first of all, is to tell you, once you type in text, you want to duplicate it and you want to keep an extra copy. So I'm going to walk you through that whole process right here. We'll move this over and I'll move this over. Normally, the originals that I type in, I keep right up here above my workspace. So let's just act like we're starting from scratch and I'll show you my whole process. On the left-hand side, you see this A, and it says text it says text underneath it. Anytime you hover over the tools in Silhouette Studio, it is going to tell you what that tool is called, like Flexi Shapes. This one is Drawing Tools. And so we're going to start right here with text. You can click on that A, and you can click right here, and you can start typing Fiesta. Now, that's the default font that I typed in. That's what my computer defaults to, is just this regular font. Well, how do I know the name of this font? I look right up here and I see it says Arial. Another way to see the name of the fonts is on the right-hand side. You have an A that says it's called the Textile panel. If I click on that, it will open this Textile panel, and I can also see the name of the font here. So I can see it in two places. Now, watch what happens to this bar when I click out here and deselect that. See how all of that disappears? This is called the quick access, and the quick access is great, but it works when you have something selected. So don't be tricked and think, wait, where'd that go? I can't see the name of the font. You have to have the text selected, or whatever it is you're working on has to be selected for you to see this quick access. But I can always see, as long as this textile panel is open, even if this isn't selected, I can see it over here. Now, I have installed this LD Circus font from, I don't know where I got it. You can use any font that you like. I chose one that was kind of large and looked like the Fiesta fonts that I see out there everywhere. So typing this text in, again, you can click on the A, click here, and start typing, or I'll leave that one up there. You can actually, there's a shortcut for typing in text. I use it all the time. You press T on your keyboard, click, and start typing. So I use that T on my keyboard shortcut all the time. Now, this is the word Fiesta, and I want to change the font. Right now it's in Arial. So I am going to double click and drag over that. And I know it's called LD Circus. I can scroll down here and find it. I can try different fonts if I want to. On here, you can see it's changing. But here's the way I like to do this. I like to actually fill this with a color. I'm going to fill it with black. I'm going to make the outlines black right up here in the quick access panel. And you can, as long as you have this selected, you can use your arrow keys over here, and you can just arrow down, and you can just scroll through and see if you have any fonts on your computer that you like. Now that's really cute, but that's not going to work for what we're doing. I need something nice, big, and bold. Well, I went with LD Circus, so I'm going to come on down here. I could also type it in right here. If I type in LD, it should pop up. There it is. So I'm going to click this with that selected, and it's going to change it to LD Circus. Now, remember what I said about originals? This is my original, and I'm going to copy this and paste one right up here. So all I have to do is press Command and the up arrow, and it's going to give me an original. And I always keep my originals right up here at the top, so I always have them. So if I make a mistake later, and I've already separated all these letters, and I can't edit it anymore like I showed you with this one. See, I can double click and nothing happens. That's not going to allow me to change that text. But as long as I have an original, if I double click, I can change anything I want in here as long as I've got that green bounding box. So that is an original. That is an original from before. This is the one that I'm going to be working with and making changes to. Now, I kept these other two up here to show you another little trick. If you're working on something and you've typed in a bunch of text and you want to change it to this font that matches this LD Circus, this is selected. I can come over here to this eyedropper tool, and this is the transfer properties tool. If I click on this transfer properties tool and you see my eyedropper, I'm going to sample from this word Fiesta, and I'm going to tell Silhouette Studio, I'm going to click on this word Fiesta, and I want you to make this word Fiesta have the same font and the same properties. So I can click here, and it's going to change this one to match this one. Now, that would even apply if I had the word, I don't know, I'll show you, go. That's an easy word. With that selected, I can come over here, I can click Fiesta. Oh, I got to click on this, get out of that green bounding box. I can come down here and it will change that. It's not going to change the spelling is what I'm saying. It's just going to change the properties like the color and the size and all that good stuff. So, all right, we'll move this one. That's just another original. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to put it right up here. Now let's get this stencil made. So I decided I didn't want it going straight across. I wanted it to look more like this where, the letters were varied. So what I ended up doing was breaking this apart basically. So right now it is text that I've typed in, but I want to ungroup the letters so that I can move them around and arrange them. So I am going to press on my keyboard Shift Command G to ungroup. On a PC, that's going to be Shift Control G. Now you can see that each one of these has a bounding box around it. See, the F has a box, the I has a box, the E. Now remember what I told you about not being able to edit this anymore or like fix a misspelling, or now what happens when I double click? A bunch of edit points pop up. Double click. Yep, can't do anything, but I still have my original up here I can double click on if I want to make any changes to this text at all. So that's why I have this extra insurance here. Okay, for a traditional stencil, and I say traditional meaning you cut it out of plastic like the one I showed you at the beginning, we have to add a bridge in this A. Right here, you see that? This ends up being plastic that stays inside of the stencil to connect the A to the plastic. It has to keep this counter. See this counter? These middle things are called counters. The only letter in this word that has a counter is the A. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll go up here. See that counter inside of there? This letter A? This is enclosed. See how that's enclosed with the shape of the letter? And normally, when your stencil cuts, if it cuts outside of the A, the entire outside, the whole A is going to fall out, right? It is. Well, if you don't put that bridge in here to keep that plastic in there as an anchor, this counter is also going to cut, but it's going to fall out and you're going to be left with a big black hole here that's going to look like that in your stencil. So that's not what we want. What we need to do is create this bridge here and here to keep that counter in place inside of your stencil. These other letters do not have counters in them. And when you're different fonts look different, and you know, like A, lowercase a, usually, it's got a counter. B has a counter. If you think about the alphabet and the letters, a lot of them have counters. Now, you will have cursive letters, always have those little islands in them. Cursive letters make it a lot more complicated, but luckily, this is all uppercase and a very easy beginner tutorial. So I'm going to scoot this over. Now we have our word Fiesta, and we need to get this to the right size before we start adding bridges. What we don't want to do is cut a bridge in here and then resize this thing smaller because it's just going to shrink my bridge. And if your bridges are too small, they just don't cut well in your stencil. If you go to wash it, they tear. When you're, over time using your stencil, that bridge is going to rip. It's going to rip when you take it off the mat if it's too thin. So we've got to get it the right size. According to the cutter measurements that I printed from Amy, this thing, I need to measure it again because I can't remember. In the part where the words Fiesta would go, it's about 5¼ inches. So what I did was I took this and I made this about 4 inches across. So these letters I know are the right size. And let me see if oh, that's really close. So these are actually a good size. Now, if I were going to make these larger or smaller, I would just click and drag over all of them and resize them at the same time. But that's a little bit larger than what I want. About right there is going to be good. And right now this is about 4 inches wide. If you're going to go straight across, that's fine. But I angled mine a little bit and it ended up being shorter. Even if this was longer, I mean, our cookie is 5¼ so we're good even having it be a little longer. So all I'm going to do is turn these the way I think I would want them to be. And you know what? We even have room to make these. We can make these as big or small as we want, even if they're different sizes. They don't all have to be the same. After all, it is a fiesta and everything is different. So I'm just going to adjust these. Let's see, I'm going to grab these and just make them all a little tiny bit bigger. And I'm going to put this one here, and I'm just going to turn them a little bit. And it may not be exact same as these, but that's okay. And just vary them up and down. Okay. There we go. I'm happy with that. I think that looks good. But remember, we got to bridge this A, so let's come in here and do that now. What I'm going to do is zoom in super close so that you can see. I call that tool right there the super zoom. And I'm going to use the knife tool here. So the knife tool you're going to find on this side. See knife tool? I never hardly click that. I always just press K on my keyboard for the knife tool. And what you're going to see right up here, this panel is going to pop up. Solid is what I use all the time. Straight. And then auto apply will automatically make the cut. If you're new to this, you want to turn off auto apply possibly, because you can move your cut. If I am going to make a bridge right here, click and drag, you can see it's just going to sit there in case I want to move it or adjust it. Also, the bridge size that I found that is perfect to make good sturdy stencils is 0.03. So 3/100 of an inch is how wide this is going to be, and that is very small. Now right now I'm still on the knife tool. To move this bridge, I need to press V on the keyboard to go back to the selection tool. See how that is blue now? I went back to the selection tool just by pressing V on the keyboard. Now I can turn my cut, I can get it right where I want it, and then I can click apply. And it's going to make that cut for me to create that bridge. I'll press K on the keyboard again. And this time I need to make, let's see, I'm going to come up here. Now it's going to sit there and I can click apply. All right, now I'm going to undo that and I'm going to show you what auto apply does. If that's on auto apply and I get my knife tool right where I want it and I make that cut, it's going to auto apply it. And so that's the difference there. I'm going to zoom out and press V on the keyboard because I'm still on the knife tool. And that continuing with the knife tool is a setting, but I like for my knife tool to continue to cut, and I don't like it to switch back between the, I'll show you that real quick rather than just telling you. So right here under, you've got this little gear icon in the lower right hand corner. If you click that and you come up here to tools, you're going to see after using knife, continue using knife, or you can say choose select. And if you choose select, it's going to go back to that selection tool right here. but I like to just get my knife tool, and I'm very quick at bridging. I'll click OK. I'm really quick at bridging, so I'll just get that knife tool and I'll just be like, choop, choop. Whoops. Not that one. Undo. And I can just undo. See how quick that is? That's so fast. Now, I'm not doing that because it really isn't necessary for this stencil, but I just wanted to show you how quick that knife tool can be. Okay, there we go. I'm going to press V to go back to the selection tool. See right here. When you press V and you press K, see K goes back to the knife tool, V goes back to the selection tool. That's what I want. I'm going to click and drag and press Command G to group these together. Another option for grouping things, if you come right up here and you hover, you're going to see options. This is duplicating. You can group, you can ungroup, but I always use the keyboard shortcuts. It just makes my workflow much faster. All right, I'm going to close these and I'm going to go back by clicking this tool. It's going to give me the full view of my virtual workspace here. Now, this is ready to put into a stencil frame. It's 4.325. That's a little larger than this one is, but that's all right. It still will work just fine. I want to teach you how to make a stencil frame. And what you see over here is the stencil that I shared with you. And this is what it's made up of. I left the red cut lines there. I'm going to move this out of our way. I left the red cut lines here. Whoops, I forgot the CC, didn't I? This stencil frame is made up of a square that's 5.5 by 5.5. I'll click on that so you can see. Well, 5.8 because it's accounting for the oval here. But it's 5.5 wide by 5.5 tall, plus the oval makes it another 3/10 of an inch. The oval is also creating the tab right here, see? And the CC is whatever logo you want to put in there or initials you want to put in there. You just type in the text and add it. So let's build out this stencil frame. I am going to use this CC here because I don't have my original and I just typed in some text for that. So to draw the square, you're going to hover over Drawing Tools and click right here on Draw a Rectangle. You want to hold down Shift to keep it in proportion. If you let off of Shift, you're going to get a rectangle. Hold down Shift and it's going to keep it square. Now I want to be somewhere around 5.5 by 5.5, and I can already tell you I'm not going to get there by using my trackpad or a mouse, but it's going to be close. I still am going to have to come up here, click this lock to close it if it's open, because you want this to stay in proportion, or constrained is what they call that. We'll make that 5.5, and when I switch the height, it's also going to switch the width to keep it a square. Now we need to draw an oval. So we're going to come back up here and we're going to click on Draw an Ellipse, and we're going to put our ellipse or our oval right here. And the thing you have to be thinking about when you're making a stencil frame is the overall dimensions. This is 5.846. If you're using Silhouette Studio, you'll be able, let's see, I'm going to group this just for now and show you. So you've got to be thinking about, can I cut 4 stencils on a sheet of material? Well, do you see how this has to, that red outer line, this red outer line out here is the cut line. You can't have anything hanging over that. So this is going to be super close. Design Space users, you have a bit more of a challenge because your space is limited on your virtual mat. So we should be okay with these. So you could get away with this size. What do I have it at? 5.846. And you could get 4 stencils cut out of one sheet of 12 by 12 material. So right now we have an oval and our square. And I'm going to put this over here because we're going to add that here in just a second. We need to right now weld these two together. Right now they're 2 different pieces. So if I were to fill this with a color though, let me fill it with green and make the lines green. This is what it's going to look like. However, this isn't going to cut like that because I haven't welded these together. If you see where these red cut lines are, see that? As it is now, it's going to cut the oval right out of there. That's why we need to weld this. And welding, I'm going to zoom in, we'll actually weld the oval to the square. Let me show you what happens. When I weld these together, that is Shift Command W. You see how that disappeared? It welded the two together. If you're in a PC, that's Shift Control W. You can also use the shortcut I just mentioned right up here. We have weld, but I always use my keyboard shortcuts. Now, the CC for the colorful cookie, I can, oh, look, it's disappearing. Well, that's because this is on the top layer. So I can come right up here and I can send that to the back, and I can bring this over now, and you're going to see I can place this CC where I want it. Now, we don't weld the CC to the frame. If you weld the CC to the frame, the CC just gets welded into it. We're actually going to create a compound path. I'm going to shorten these up a little bit, move them right there. Right now, this is a font. If I double click, you see how I can still edit that? Well, that is an original, so I probably should duplicate it in case I want to use it again. Command and the up arrow, or Control and the up arrow if you're on a PC. That's just an original that I can still double click to edit. Once I create a compound path in this is going to, I'm not going to be editable anymore. I can't double click and change any of the letters. Creating a compound path confuses people sometimes. So when you create a compound path, what you're doing is basically, take a look at that. See how you can see through that word Fiesta? This is a compound path, okay? It basically punches the letters out of this stencil frame. This one, see that, Fiesta? See that? You can't see through it? This one is just grouped together. People get really hung up and confused on what is grouped and what is a compound path. If you can see through it like this, it's punched out, it's a compound path. If you can't see through it and it's like this, then that is grouped. So we're going to punch the CC out of this stencil frame by clicking and dragging and making it a compound path. Command E. See how that just, oops, sorry about that. See how that just punched that CC out of there? I can see through it now. We're good to go. That is a stencil frame that I can use forever. Now I'm going to make that the lines, the cut lines turned red there. I'm going to make them transparent so this whole thing is green, just like this whole thing is blue. The lines will still cut even if they're not red. All right, I'll zoom back out here and grab the Fiesta that I want to add to the stencil. And again, when I put this here, right now, I can center this up, and you'll use the center tools all the time when you're making stencils. You click and drag and come right up here. We can center it from top to bottom. We can center it going horizontal. But what's going to happen, because we have this oval here, Fiesta is going to be from whatever this distance to here is, it's going to be too high. A lot of times, you guys, I will just eyeball this and move it down and say, okay, that's in the center. But if you're a perfectionist, I know lots of people are, get another 5.5 by 5.5 square, or duplicate your original, the one that we put in here before I welded, to keep an original, which is a good idea, or just draw you a new 5.5 by 5.5. Now I'm going to fill this with a color, and I am going to come over here to this color palette. I'm going to reduce the transparency on that so you can kind of see through it. That way, when I grab this, I can move it. If it's filled with color, you can move it. If I grab this, it's not filled with color and it won't move. But I just want to be able to bring this to the front like this, set it on top of here, and it's still very transparent. I can turn that up just a little bit. There we go. Just so that you know it is filled with color. I can, now watch, this is how I even things up. For those of you who are perfectionists, this is what you do. I am going to click and drag right over the center. Then I'm going to hold down Shift to deselect the green stencil frame back there, the green one, the one that, I'm going to use for my stencil. So when I hold down Shift and deselect that main one back there, the only two that are selected is the word Fiesta and the transparent square. And if I center those up, Now I know that's in the middle. I also know that this transparent square was centered and it wasn't, the oval, it wasn't taking into account the oval. So that's perfectly centered. And it would be easier if you're not a perfectionist just to arrow down and eyeball it. So I'm going to click and drag over both of these and press Command G. Now, this one, the word Fiesta, is grouped to the stencil frame. Remember how I talked to you about this one being grouped? That's the same thing here. If you're a Silhouette user and you have a Cameo, you can click Send, and I don't have mine turned on right now, but this is going to cut just fine for you. If you are a Cricut user, when you're working in Silhouette Studio, I always suggest that you create a duplicate, Command and the right arrow. This one, we're going to turn into a compound path, and we're going to punch out these letters when I do that. So Command E makes that a compound path. It does revert back to the red cut lines, and it's transparent now. I'll come back up here, and I think I did fill yours with blue. Let's fill this one with turquoise. And I also usually make the cut lines transparent. Even though you make them transparent, they're still cut lines. They're still there. This whole thing is going to cut out just fine. So we have the one that is grouped. I call this my original. I'll put it right up here. This one is the compound path. Now, because I'm using the business edition of Silhouette Studio, I can take this stencil that is a compound path. I can export it as an SVG file. That is a universal cut file for cutting machines. For anybody who uses a Cricut, I need to provide them with an SVG. Because I teach thousands of people how to design and I share thousands of files, I need the business edition so that I can export this SVG and share it with you. So to do that, I'm going to leave it selected, click File, and Save Selection. That's important. You don't want to save the entire thing. You just want to save your selection. Save to hard drive, and I'm going to go to Fiesta. I'm going to tell it what format right here. Because I have the business edition, I have all these options. So I'm going to say SVG, and I'm going to call this Fiesta 2 because it's the second one I've made. And I'm saving it in the file here with all of your other files. And I'm going to click OK. And I just saved that SVG file or exported it basically. Now, if you have the business edition, you can export those files to share with anybody in the world. If you have the designer edition, which is between the free and the business edition, the only thing you can do is import SVG files. For example, if I go to File and I want to merge into this project, I can merge that Fiesta 2 SVG. I'll click OK, and it will merge it in here. If you don't have the designer edition, at least the designer edition, you cannot do that. You cannot merge an SVG or import an SVG. So basic free version gets you the basic tools for Silhouette Studio. Designer edition, and this is in a nutshell basically. Designer edition gives you a few more tools to use on the sides over here and this side, and it allows you to import SVGs like I just showed you. The business edition gives you all the tools everywhere, and you can not only import SVG files, you can export them to share with others. So that is that stencil. Now, let's see, up here, I'm going to come over. And if you're cutting this Mylar type material, and I probably should share that link with you too, because you may not know where to get it. I use a couple of different kinds, and I'll share that link also with Melinda to share with you in case my phone isn't working when I'm live, but I will share that link with you too so that you'll know. But the cut settings that I use, let me see if this, my Cameo is not working right now. It's got something wrong with it and I need to fix it. So I don't have it turned on. But here is the setting I use for 5 mil. I'll just show this to you. I want to put it on cut here. I got to move something over so it'll, okay, that'll allow me to show it to you. So you see I have action selected, which is cut. And down here it's waiting, but you can select cut right here. You don't want just cut edge, you want cut. The blade depth I use is not showing because I don't have it on or plugged in, but it's 5 for 5 mil. Just think blade depth 5. I use a force of 33. The speed is 15, and I make 2 passes for the 5 mil stencil material. For the 6 mil stencil material, if you have that, you can probably get away with these same settings. I don't have anything checked over here. See that box? That is not checked. So again, this is going to be 5, even though you can't see that there. The force of 33, 2 passes, and speed of 15. And those are the settings that I use. That's a starting point for you. Okay, doke. Let's move that up there. Let's get these things out of the way. We're done with that part. Now, let's make our royal icing transfer template. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch to the free version here for people who just want to make a transfer template in this software. It's super easy. But what I'm going to do, I believe I can switch. I can view in the standard edition, which is free. All right, so did you just see all those tools disappear on the sides when I did that? That is because the basic free version just gives you limited tools, but it's a lot of tools. Don't get me wrong. The business is just the best thing to have. So now that we're going to be making royal icing transfer templates, I'm going to come over here and change my media size to 8.5 by 11. And then what I'm going to do is show the print border, because when I'm printing, I want to be able to see. I do not want to go outside of this black line. That's the print border. If you go outside of there, you're going to cut your prints off. So what I did, if you don't see page setup, you click this button in the corner right here, and you can change your media size to letter and turn on your print border right here. And then that red cut line, that is the cut border. You can turn that off if it bothers you, but I just usually leave that on. All right, so let's type in our text again. I'm going to press T on my keyboard and click here, and I'm going to turn on cap locks and type Fiesta. Of course, it's gonna, come in the default font, but I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to come over here to the textile panel, and LD Circus is recently used, so it's showing up at the top. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in with black. And if you're just starting this brand new project and you haven't made a stencil and you don't have any originals up here, go ahead, trust me. Make a copy by pressing Command and the up arrow and put you a copy right there so you have it. Now, if you're going to make royal icing transfer templates for yourself, let me scoot this over. You can just do a plain sheet, and that's not a big deal. But if you're going to do it and share it with people and you want them to know where it came from, go ahead and bring in your logo and, make some other things on this. For example, I'm going to go to Merge, and I'm going to put logo. Let's see if I can find my logo here. Okay, we'll just use that one. And although it comes in huge, all right, I just merged my logo into this. I'll make it smaller. It's got a white background, so it's going to be just fine. And I actually did not put my logo on the royal icing transfer template that I shared with you, but I just made it plain and simple. So I'm going to put my logo down here. And this is for you if you're just going to be sharing and you want somebody to be able to remember where it came from. I'm going to put in my web address. Now that came in really big, didn't it? See that editing box? All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this over. And just so that you can see that, I'm going to fill it with color. I'm going to fill it with blue. I like that turquoise blue. I love the bright colors. Then I'm going to change the font size to, let's try 18. Yeah. All right, I got a misspelling there. So see that bounding box, how big that is? That, I guess that's, I don't know, I call that a bounding box, but it's the editing. I'm going to just short, not too short, or it'll send it down to the next line. So there's that. Now, the colorfulcookie.com, it's this squiggly line under here is telling me that I have a spelling error, but it's not. So I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to come up to these tools to center. And this is pretty big, so it's going to like take up some space. So I'm going to make that smaller. I don't want it to cut into the transfer. So now that that is perfectly positioned, I'm going to press Command G to group it. And then we can start here with the word Fiesta. So remember, this text is still editable. I've got an original up here from this. So I'm going to now ungroup this. So I can do Shift Command G, and all those go to letters. Now you can do different things here. If you wanted to do a whole sheet of F's, you can. If you wanted to do a whole sheet of I, it just depends. And you know what? Since I just did the word Fiesta, I'm going to undo, and I'm going to put that back together, and I'm going to show you another little trick. So if I know that I want these letters to be about, what did I say? Let me ungroup that and see. I'm going to see how that's kind of turned. That's not giving me an accurate measurement. I'm going to turn this a little bit. It's about 0.75. I think I made you a small sheet and I made you a larger sheet. I kind of like the larger letters if you're doing transfers, because you can put them on the cookie and you can angle them and make them fit. So even that size is a good size. But I'll try to, all right, there we go. So I have these filled with black, and if you don't want your transfers to be black, you don't want to waste a bunch of ink. I'm always thinking about wasting ink. I am going to come right over here, and I'm going to see this little hash mark. That's transparent. I'm going to make that transparent. And then the outlines I have are black. So see that black color right here in the quick access panel? Now, this quick access panel is only visible, remember, if you have this selected. So if you want to change that same thing over here, that's where you click the color palette, and you can see right here, I've got the fill is set to the hash mark, which is transparent. And then the lines right here, the lines are underneath it. That's the line style. You can see I have straight lines, and the thickness is set to 0. Even though it's 0, we still see a thin line. But I always come up here for a transfer, and I make my lines thicker. All right, let's zoom back out, and I'm going to close that because I don't need that. I don't need that one either, and I don't want it to be in the way. So this Fiesta, these letters are really close. And if you're anything like me, you bump into your royal icing transfers as you're working on them. So you can come right over here in the textile panel, and if you don't see it popped up, it's this A with a line. You can actually space your characters farther apart, as far as you want. And that way you don't have to ungroup it. What I was going to show you when I ungrouped them earlier was adjusting them and aligning them. You don't have to do that. So there's the word Fiesta, and I want to fill this whole page. Well, let's do that quickly. We can go to Object and Replicate, and we're going to do a column of 4. And that's not enough. We need some more. So I can come back up to Object and Replicate. I can do a column of, 3, but that's going to be too many, I believe. Well, maybe not. Let's see. That should work. Okay. So another way to duplicate, if you want to just press one or click on one of these to select it, press Command and the down arrow, it'll give you another one, but we have enough. But there's an original, so let's put it at the top. Now I need to space these out where my hand is not going to be bumping into the next row or the row above it. So I just space a couple apart, and then I click and drag. I'm not going to grab the logo or the web address. These are not evenly spaced, but right up here with this icon, we can click here to space them vertically, and we can also align them in the center, or we could align to the left-hand side. Either one will work. And then I'm going to group that. And when I group it, I think I just accidentally hit the arrow. I'm going to click with it selected. See this little bullseye right here? When I do that, it'll put them right in the center of my workspace. And remember when I said, ooh, that's going to bump into it? It does. So I'll just come back up a little bit and select it. And again, I'm going to center that right down the middle. Okay, there's your royal icing transfer template. And super quick, it's super easy. You can do this with shapes, letters, anything that you want. You can also, if you have, a design like when I share with the club and we've decorated a cookie and the transfer specifically for that cookie or clip art, I'll put the clip art up here in the corner so they know what it goes with. You can put royal icing transfer up here. You can do a lot of things, but this is just the basics. So now that we want to print this, we can come up here to File, and let's see how this works in the free edition. And Print. And it's going to pull up your print window. Slowly. It's thinking. Is my printer off? No, my printer's not off. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And we can just click print. Now look, that colorful cookie is cut off right there. Well, that's odd. So let's cancel it because it tells me it's not. I really don't think it's going to be cut off. But just in case, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller and we'll move it up. And if I'm going to make that in the center, there we go. Let's try that again. You can also, by the way, click the printer icon here. A lot of these tools and the menu tabs do the same thing in multiple places. So this software seems a little bit overwhelming, but a lot of these tools do the same thing. All right, that's better. Now click print, and that is going to print on my printer. Now let me go back and see what we can do to save this in case you want to save. You cannot save it as a PDF because this is the free basic version. You have to have the business edition to save or export a PDF. So if I come to File, and I need to, let me get this, grab that. Go to File and Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive. You see how I don't have any option here to save as a PDF. So if I'm going to save this here, I don't have the option. The only thing I have the option to do is save it as a silhouette file type, V2, V3, or GSP. So that's not what I want to do. So what I can do, let me just see if I can, I haven't played in the free version for this, but let me see if there's one more option here. If I can pull up my printer window specifically, I can export a PDF from there. It's not going to allow me to open my, well, let's see. Let me click print. Okay, yes, right here, PDF. So you see how this says PDF, open in preview, save as PDF. Even if you have the free basic version, there's a workaround. We can save it as a PDF, and it's going to pop up here, and I'm going to type in Fiesta large transfer and save it in the files right here. And it's processing the page. So you should be able to do that very same thing to actually export a PDF. Now I need to go back because I have not been clicking save while I've been working in this project. When you want to save your project, and don't do what I just did, save early, save often. So this little floppy disk right here, if you click on it, it's going to save your file. I've already named mine, but if you haven't named it, it will prompt you to name it. You can also come up here and Command S or Control S will save. If you want to save it under a different name, you do a save as and save to hard drive. I rarely save things in my library because those can disappear and it's out of your control. When I save to my hard drive, I know where things are. I know they're going to be there. So I really don't save anything to the library. Unless I'm here and I'm working and I know I'm going to be on another computer later and log in to Silhouette Studio on another computer somewhere else, I might save it to the library. But typically, I tell people save to your hard drive. But that is how you save a document. And we're all finished. We made a stencil walked you through that whole process of the stencil frame, typing in the text, creating the bridge, grouping things together, making them a compound path. We typed in text again. We made a royal icing transfer template. We adjusted the text. I talked to you about saving your originals for insurance so that you never forget the name of the font you used. Type it in right down here. And when you save an original, make sure that you can still edit the text. These are the originals from the first two royal icing transfer templates I made. This is the one I just now made. But everything here that I talked to you about, if you have any questions, you can always ask in the comments. And then you can always email me too at nancy@thecolorfulcookie.com. I'm going to click save one more time. And then I'm going to take you back to, let me see, I want to take you back to the PDF that my printer saved and see if what that one looks like for you. So Fiesta and what did I call that? Oh, here, Fiesta large. All right. So that's what it looks like. Now, if you ever want to see a preview of something without actually opening it, click on it once and press your space bar, and you'll be able to get a nice preview. And that's exactly what it printed like. I'm going to show you right now. I'll switch back to me. And here is what I just printed out with the logo and the web address at the bottom. This is the one that is included for you in the downloads. It's about the same size. I included one that's a little bit smaller. The one that's a little bit smaller, I did fill with gray, so you would notice the difference. This is transparent. It's just white. And then here is your stencil that you're going to be able to download and cut if you have a cutting machine. You can cut that SVG on any cutting machine. So thank you guys. I am going to share the links with you for the stencil material. I'll share the link with you to the Silhouette Studio software, so you'll have that. And then also Amy is sharing the cookie cutter with you that coordinates with this tutorial so that you'll be able to use these two together. I hope that was informative for you today. Normally, when I go live, I do this very same process, walk people through things. They ask me questions as I'm teaching. Today, this happens to be pre-recorded, but I will try to be here and answering in the comments if technology cooperates during the live event. Thank you for watching today. If you're interested in learning more about the Colorful Cookie Club and designing stencils, cookie cutters, printables, all kinds of things, multiple different software types. Canva, we cover Canva. We cover some Procreate tutorials on how to use Procreate for the iPad. You can see I have multiple 3D printers behind me. I teach how to use the Bamboo Studio software, so I got you covered if you want to join the Colorful Cookie Club. And please join the Cookieathon Facebook group. It's a huge group. We host events there 2 times a year. Similar to this, we also have a website library of the videos as well. So join me over there too. And thank you for watching today. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. There's lots of good stuff coming your way. I know I'm early in the event on Saturday. And thank you, Melinda, for all your hard work. I absolutely know how much work putting an event together like this takes. And so thank you to you as well. And hopefully I will see you guys all at the next one. Bye-bye.